Hello everyone, welcome to a new video. Today I will be analyzing the company of SOS Hydration, which if everything goes as planned, it should be going public this upcoming May 10th, 2022 in the NASDAQ under the ticker symbol SOSH. As always, my aim with these videos is to analyze the most relevant aspects about the company based on their SEC filing, which by the way, if you want to check it out yourselves, the link to it will be just down below in the description. And afterwards, if you find the company interesting, if you think that it could be potentially a good opportunity of investment, then you can go and actually you should go and do your own due diligence on it. Nevertheless, before I go into the full analysis, let me quickly give you a very short overview of the main topics that I will be covering today. First, I will start with a general introduction to the company. We will also look at some key metrics, then we will go into the industry and competitors, followed as always by the financials, which we will compare to two other comparable companies, not really direct competitors, but comparables, which are SOSH Holdings and National Beverage Corp. Afterwards, we will go into the IPO price and valuation, and again, we will compare the valuation of SOS Hydration with the two comparables I just mentioned now. And finally, as always, I will be giving my personal opinion on the company and also my future plans with it. With that said though, and after I remind you that if you enjoyed the video, it would be really super awesome if you could just give it a like, and please also consider subscribing to the channel if you want to see more videos on upcoming IPOs. But with that said, let's go for it. SOS is a hydration company that provides products with 1/10 the amount of sugar found in traditional sports drinks. They essentially sell electrolyte enhanced sports drinks and products which are used to maximize performance, reducing fatigue, providing long-lasting energy, amongst other benefits. They offer their products in powder form and ready to drink, and powder form in 5 flavors, ready to drink just in 3 flavors. And just for some reference, during the year 2021, 97.5% of the revenue came from the powder products and only 2.5% from the ready to drink. As mentioned, they claim that their products contain less sugar than that of competitor brands, while providing the same or better levels of electrolyte replacement. And in the table in the screen, you can see comparables from different products of SOS Hydration, and you can see that all of them contain more sugar and more calories than SOS. To bring the products to the market, they partner with third-party contract providers for the distribution as well as production of these, and currently they are distributing them in the US and the UK. And for some reference, during the year 2021, UK revenues accounted for 12% of total revenues, which means that most of their business is really done in the US. Consumers can purchase their products through e-commerce channels, of course including the company's website, and at 12,000 brick-and-mortar retail stores including Walmart, CVS, Kroger, Whole Foods, amongst others. The co-founder of SOS Hydration, James Mayo, is a military veteran and cites dehydration as the #1 non-combat casualty issue. SOS is researching product and packaging enhancements for military use and has received a small business innovation research contract from the United States Air Force to pursue this formulation. And a contract with the government, with the US government particularly, is always positive, so we need to see how this evolves, but again, I really like to see this. Moving to the industry, we have that according to market data forecasts, global electrolyte drinks market report published in April of 2021, the global electrolyte hydration drinks market is expected to grow at a compound annual growth rate of 7.8% between 2020 and 2027. The global oral rehydration solutions hydration drinks market, which is a subset of the electrolyte drinks market, comprised of products following World Health Organization oral rehydration solution guidelines, was valued at $7.74 billion in 2019 and is predicted to reach $18.34 billion by 2027, according to a study by Verified Market Research, which represents a CAGR of 13.5%. The market is quite large and there is massive room for growth for SOS Hydration because, as we will see in the revenues, they are still reporting relatively small revenues compared to the whole industry and how much it's worth, but there is a lot of competition. In powders, there is Liquid IV, Pedialyte Electrolyte Powder, Ultima, Noon, Hydran, Cool Aid, Hawaiian Punch. Then in ready-to-drink functional waters, there is Vitamin Water and Bywater. In sports drinks, there is Gatorade, Body Armor, and Powerade, although these are sugar-based carbohydrates and do not offer the vitamin and mineral replacement like SOS. So they are basically sports drinks that are complement to SOS. They provide the carbohydrates and then SOS provides the hydration. Out of all the different drinks I mentioned right now, either they are privately owned or they are owned by one of the two beverage giants, so Coca-Cola or PepsiCo. And for the comparison of the financials, I didn't want to take neither one of these two giants because I feel like it makes no sense. They are at completely different stages to SOS Hydration. I mean, just so you get a picture, they report revenues more than 1,000 times larger than SOS, so I really felt like there was no point in trying to compare the companies. Instead, I chose two other comparables, which are also in the drink space, which are Celsius Holdings and National Beverage Corp. Celsius Holdings sells energy drinks that are marketed as being more healthy than other options in the market, and then National Beverage has a portfolio of different beverage brands, including sparkling waters, juices, and energy drinks. And the reason I chose both of these companies is because, of course, they are in the beverage space, but they are much smaller than Coca-Cola or PepsiCo, and especially Celsius Holdings, as we will see now, is still in high growth phase, which is a bit similar to SOS. Now it's time to go into the financials, and starting first with revenues, we see that they reported short of $4 million this past 2021, and the company is growing at rates above 50%, which is very nice to see. The bottom line though doesn't look so good, as the company is extremely unprofitable and the losses have been increasing as a percentage of revenues. The good thing is that they are very well capitalized. Before the IPO, they currently have a debt ratio of 73.77%, which is quite okay. However, after the IPO, the debt ratio will be extremely low at only 3.16%, as they forecasted right now. Looking now at the financials from the two comparable companies, we have that Celsius Holdings is actually growing faster than SOS, and National Beverage seems to be pretty well established, almost not growing. Revenues are much larger also in any of the other two companies, and on the bottom line, both of the comparables are profitable while SOS isn't. At this point, it's time to talk about the IPO and valuation. First, going into the IPO price, this is expected to range between $4.5 and $6.5 per share, and taking the midpoint of this range, the company is expecting to generate net proceeds from this offering of between $8.6 and $10 million approximately, and they will use this to hire new staff for marketing, paying down debt, and general corporate purposes. And on shares outstanding after the offering, these are expected to be around 7.7 million, but we should also include the options, warrants, and future equity incentive plan. We should add then on top of that 3.8 more million shares, making the grand total of 11.6 million shares outstanding after the offering. As mentioned, not all of these shares will be outstanding immediately after the offering, but since there are options, warrants, and so on, at some point in the future there will be dilution. So in my eyes, it's better to already include it right now in the calculations for this to be more realistic. Also very important to know and to keep in mind is that linked to this offering, there will also be the possibility for current existing shareholders to sell up to 2.2 million shares when it goes public. And from these shares, obviously SOS Hydration will receive no proceeds, because it's simply existing shareholders that will now be selling the shares to whoever decides to invest now in SOS Hydration. And in the screen you can see some of the selling shareholders, but if you are curious, you can go to the SEC filing and check all of them. Again, it doesn't mean that they will sell their shares, but there is this possibility. On the valuation of SOS Hydration, taking the midpoint of the price range proposed, the amount of shares outstanding after the offering, also including all the possible dilution I mentioned earlier on, and the sales for the past year 2021, we have a price to sales ratio of 17.15 times and a micro market cap of $63 million. And this is honestly demanding, considering how much valuations in the market in general have been compressed lately. And then comparing it to the two comparables, we have that Celsius Holdings is trading at a price to sales ratio of 12, which I also find very expensive, and National Beverage at 4. Now it's that time in the video in which I share my opinion on the company. So what do I think of SOS Hydration, and will I be investing in its IPO? Personally, my answer is no. I mean, it's a company that is still reporting very small revenues when compared to many other companies trading in the market, and significant losses. Also, it is seeking a valuation that is pretty expensive, and I mean, seeing how much valuations have been compressed in the market lately, as mentioned, I think it's quite expensive. On top of that, we also need to consider that there's likely going to be a lot of selling pressure from existing shareholders, so it wouldn't surprise me if the stock fell to $3 per share or even lower already on the first day. And of course, at that price point, the valuation would be compressed significantly and much more attractive, I must say. But still, there is a lot of risk involved with investing in SOS Hydration. because it's a company that is still nowhere close to being established, and I mean they have enough capital, of course, to survive for a few more years, but you really need to have that confidence in the product that they are selling. Something also that I would say if you invest in SOS Hydration, you for sure need to do is to really try the product that they are selling. Maybe order it online and then try it and then see if you like it or not, because I feel like this will give you a lot more confidence if you decide then to invest in SOS Hydration. And in my eyes, this IPO is a bit like, Edible Garden that I mentioned last week. I won't be investing in it because I see simply many other deals in the market that offer much more attractive risk-reward ratios. And just one final thing and to keep in mind is that it could be that in the future, if SOS really performs well, it is eventually bought by one of the beverage giants, so either Coca-Cola or PepsiCo, like it has happened with many other companies in the past. Anyways, please remember that everything I share in this video is just based on my opinion, my research, and my calculations, which of course all of it could be wrong. I take absolutely no responsibility, and you should always do your own due diligence whenever investing in this or any stock. With that said though, what are your thoughts on SOS Hydration? Will you be investing in its IPO? Please let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, then don't forget to give it a like, subscribe to the channel if you're not yet subscribed, and as always, see you next time.